Good morning or afternoon. Welcome to Chakra Sessions. I'm your host, Polly Jo LeBay, here as part of Star Nations. And Star Nations, we broadcast here in live stream through Facebook and the Be Live TV application app. So good morning. Today we are talking about how to manage the ascension in relationship with other people. Because as we are going through shifting and changing, so are the people around us. And when that's happening, we're all kind of on earthquake energy. We're all getting shook up a little bit. And sometimes we are not at our best. And neither are other people around us. And in that energy, how do we cope with not only just who we are and who we are shifting to become, but also dealing with the people around us shifting and changing as well. So it's kind of this big topic in a way, but I'm very excited because I don't know about you guys, but July is just rocky energy. And everything astrological says it's not ending until we hit August, really. And so as we're going through this, how do we stay sane, right? For a whole month of really turbulent, in our face, shifting, growing, and changing. So let me see who's here. Hi, Ellen. I'm glad to have you. Good morning, Christine. Nice to have you as well. Yeah, this is quite some deal. Hi, Margaret. Glad to have you in the house. I know you guys, everybody's sort of catching up and getting here. Last week, there was a lot of stuff that came to a head. Old energy, old wounds, old beliefs that just sort of got thrown right into my face, into my family's realm that we had the opportunity to shift and grow from, or collapse and go backwards into our old habits. And it was a real testament to, when you're willing to dig in your heels and do the work, what a shift and what growth that can change. So let's see who else is here. Hi, Gina. Welcome. Oh my goodness. Renee's in the house. I can't believe you made it with your crazy busy schedule. Thanks for joining me. So here we are in this really shifting energy. And even if you are not somebody who's like totally on board with things moving dimensionally, or people are going from the third dimension to the fourth dimension, however you perceive that, I would still bet that in the past couple of weeks, things have been a little rocky, or things have been really different and you're not sure why. And in that energy, we get to choose whether we're going to create something new, or we're going to freak out and be like, well, oh no, things are different. And how do I make them the same, the way they were? Welcome, Julie. Oh, and Bobby. And of course, Marie. I want to do a big shout out to Marie, who's been continuing with the gratitude practice. You surpassed me. I've been doing my morning gratitudes in my journal, but I haven't been posting them on Facebook as much because I was actually trying to detox from Facebook a little bit. I don't know if you guys ever have those moments where it's really good to disconnect from electronics for a little bit. And in this, boom energy, That's one of the times. Hi, Neshi. I know that was you on Chakra Sessions. How are you? So you guys can help out by liking and sharing this broadcast, because I think everybody is having things shifting and moving, maybe at a more rapid pace than we're used to. And my team's been pretty clear that we're riding this out at least through all of July. Some of us who didn't get on the bus early enough, we're going to have some of this in August as well. But how do we deal with all of this shifting and changing and still interact with other people? I've had a lot of people contacting me about like what to do for their own symptoms. How do I manage, having, a lot of people are having upset stomachs, or they're having, difficulty with food, or they're having, they're overtired. They're just in a different place than they've normally been. But you add to that things like relationships. So I'm going to share kind of this like personal information, which I really would have loved to have done last week. But with Mercury in retrograde and Be Live TV and Facebook all being kind of wacky, it didn't really happen. So here we are. One of the things that came up was a miscommunication. It was the wildest thing that I had an interaction with somebody very close to me, and I said something, and I conveniently forgot that they have an auditory processing disorder. And what that means is that some people, when they hear things verbally, they don't hear the full content. It kind of slides out of their short-term memory. So when somebody is reacting to something that's said, you are under the assumption that they heard all of what you said, not that they took it out of context. So basically, I had a conversation with somebody who took one little phrase out of a sentence and latched onto it and interpreted it to mean something that I'm still not quite sure what they interpreted it to be. But it was somebody very close to me. And it was said in a joking manner. We actually both laughed. And within 5 minutes, they had messaged somebody about what I said. That person messaged me and basically gave me this sort of screaming text. And in that screaming text, I was perplexed because it wasn't what I really said. And I had to really dig for the fact that maybe those words were embedded in the sentence. So this has been this really interesting adventure of that happened. And they included my husband on the text, so that my husband would know that I said this thing out of context, and the person actually admitted that it could have been a miscommunication at the very beginning. They said, this could be a miscommunication, but then they went on as if that weren't true. And so it developed into this really wild ride of, they then meant to send texts to other people, but because it was Mercury in retrograde, I ended up getting these nasty texts that they were talking about me with somebody else. And then they gave some very private, personal information as well. So it was a really wild ride because it showed how quickly miscommunication can happen and how quickly things can be taken out of context and how little we speak to each other face to face and get clarification. And with the accelerated pace of the ascension, we're in this place where things want to shift quickly. Relationships want to shift quickly. Old patterns and behaviors want to shift quickly. And so they're thrown in our face for us to go, oops, this is still happening. And how do we shift it? So this explosion of energy that happened for me was a surprise. And it opened up some of my own wounds that were ready to start to shift and clear. Does that make sense? So I had some hurt feelings that came out that were attached to my childhood. There was energy around safety and security that got triggered. There were many different wonderful things that got brought to the surface that were ready to move. And without the gift of this conversation, let's say, this interaction, that wouldn't have been thrown in my face. And the other cool thing about this happening was that I ended up with a bunch of clients that it was all happening for as well. Clients and students who were saying, what the heck? What the heck's going on? I don't even know how this happened. And I could say, there's something up. It has to do with the energy. And this particular Mercury in retrograde is really pulling the issue to the forefront. The energy of the eclipses kind of sandwiching it, are also pushing it up to move and shift and clear. And we can be in a place of gratitude, or we can freak out. Now, I'll tell you, I freaked out first. And I found it really cool that I reached out to 7 different healer friends to say, something is shifting for me. I really could use a healing, and nobody could send me healing. So it let me know that the universe wanted me to sit in it. My team wanted me to sit in it, to learn from it. And I really only had to sit in it for, a little while, a couple of days, but it was enough for me to grow and expand and actually shift me and shift my relationships. And it also gave me space to be in a place where we all are where we are, and we don't have to be on the same page, and we can let things settle. We can let the dust settle. We don't have to keep poking and prodding at it. And we're going to do this in all sorts of different ways. But by managing our own energy, we then can find ways to manage our reactions to others and with others as we're going through it. Phew. So let me just poke, because a number of people were responding, so I want to check in. So Renee is saying sleep. Sleep, what's that? That's one of her major changes. Yes, a lot of sleep disturbances are happening. And that's one of the physical things, right? Because when we don't get enough sleep, then our body enters a particular wavelength, a particular vibration. And so sometimes we need to be in that sleep deprived state for our energy to sort of get the right, delve into the right energy to release stuff that's wanting to shift. So yes, sleep was one of the things that I was having a lot of difficulties with, actually for on and off for months. I've had difficulty with sleep, but now I'm having this interesting, really deep sleep where I'm waking up and in the waking up, I'm actually seeing and feeling what's physically clearing, which is a kind of a cool state. So Bobby said, I've been gone 2 weeks being on single parent grandma duty to youngsters as our adult kids were in Europe. Rocky, different, loved it, tired, glad to be back. Yeah, right. When our routine shifts, then we have to shift. And that's another thing that sometimes it's our routine gets disrupted. We can't get up at the same time, or we can't go to the bed at the same time, or our work schedule has to shift slightly. And when that happens, we get out of our old rhythm. And I think some of this is our team and the divine really trying to help us break our patterns. We've gotten comfortable in our discomfort. And so what's some of the best ways to shift it? Get us out of our comfort zone. And it's no surprise here in the Northeast, we're going to have a tremendous heat wave. And what causes the most discomfort in the summertime when it's hot and it's humid and tempers flare, right? When we have that extra heat. So that's not even a surprise to me either. I'm happy that I'm going to be near water and air conditioning while that's all going on. Ellen's saying, glad to know it's not just me having a wild July. Oh yeah. Hang on, babe. It's coming. And Fran says, oh, Mercury. Yep. Hi, Mimi. Glad to have you. And Bobby's saying, I get this. Even just a look can be misinterpreted. Keeping grounded and in love with who we are in our growth. Yes. Oh, wow. Julie's going to be starting a new job. That's fabulous. That's a lot of opportunity, right? And a way to shift who we are and how we're going to be can really be an invitation to get back into or get closer to a more authentic version of ourselves. In addition, my team sort of helped me, the universe, the divine, my team kind of all came together to help me shift how I'm going to be teaching my school. And part of that is, I was following the models of people who've gone before me, right? And just because it's been done one way doesn't mean it's the right way, or the right way for me. And when I was having a discussion with Neshi about this, that sort of paradigm of how a school is run and how a school is taught was created many, many years ago, and from a place where we were connecting only to people in our neck of the woods. But here we are in internet land, right? Where I am talking to people just on this show from all parts of the country and maybe even all parts of the planet, because we reach people from all around the globe, and we're all gathered together in this moment to do a little bit of learning and a little bit of healing and a little bit of growth. So the old, brick and mortar, right? A brick and mortar store or a brick and mortar school, that's in the paradigm where, people travel to you to do the work or always do the work. And that doesn't have to be true. So shifting my school so that a large portion of it is going to be done online. So it means anybody can learn, anybody can study, and then gather together, on healing weekends, traveling around the country to do those. So I'm close to people when they need it, but making it accessible. to more people than just my community. Because this is really part of how we're trying to shift and ascend into a fuller vibration. We don't have to be stuck where we are. It's why people can work remotely more easily than they used to, right? So Mimi is saying, oh, is this particularly hard for Leos? My daughter has been unbearable to live with. It's not just Leos, sweetie. But when we're used to people being a particular way, and maybe they're normally gentle and kind and considerate, right? That's their normal. This energy is putting cranky pants on everybody on the planet. And I'm sure your daughter would probably say you've been unbearable too, because it goes both ways. And, you know, I'll tell you, at one point last week, I was in a place of, I don't know how I would have gotten through some of this without my support team. And by support team, I mean my therapist, my energy healer, my good friends, and my spiritual team. But I needed that grounding energy, not just my grounding, but the grounding energy of people around me going, it's all right. You're allowed to have a crazy day or a crazy few days or a crazy week. If that gives you the opportunity to stretch and grow more in alignment with who you are and how you are meant to be, okay, have a crazy week. But I've seen it across the horoscope, the astrology charts. I haven't seen like anybody's having a good ride of it. It's really been hitting everybody in their own way. I think it's just a matter of we have a perception of other people, and because they're shaking and we're shaking, it's just more difficult. And I think the parent sibling, the parent-child relationship can be especially taxing, especially depending on the age of the child. From preteen on, preteen to 100, they may not be terrific. But again, they're not feeling like you're terrific either, I'm sure, because it's relationships are a two-way street. When somebody's triggering us, that means there's some old energy of our own that we're trying to clear. So one of the invitations in the Ascension energy that's going on is I invite you to use this as opportunities for growth. Use this for opportunities to expand who you are. And one of the things that holds us back is we have beliefs that limit who we are or what we think we can do in our lives. We close down our possibilities, and in that collapse, we don't leave room for the divine to offer us new and bigger and more amazing things to come in. So how do we get that place of doubt out of our energy system? Where are the ways that you're creating doubt? Where are the ways that you are creating fear? And in relationship with other people, remember that they're, a form of a mirror. And sometimes people get a little off of that. They don't feel that they're the person that they're seeing. And that's true to a degree. But I noticed, like, when I had the text exchange and the misinterpretation and the miscommunication. It was an expanded awareness that we had had miscommunication in the past, and I had allowed myself to receive that in a particular way that wasn't healthy for me. And that I was having the opportunity to shift how I was going to receive that information. And, because sometimes we allow ourselves to be bullied, or we allow ourselves to collapse, or we shut down because we, don't know how to deal with it. Whatever our reaction is, our coping mechanism, it doesn't mean that that's the way we should always respond. And the way my team has been speaking about that is that we're in this space where we can learn how to take action rather than be in reaction. Because when we're in reaction, we're acting defensively. And as soon as we're acting defensively, the other person feels like they're being attacked. So if everybody's attacking or everybody's defending, nobody's really breathing, listening, and hearing. And as we're going through this ascension energy, it's inviting us to find our way back to our heart, find our way back to places of gratitude. And sometimes that place, especially if we're empaths, is new boundaries on our relationships, which can be hard because, we want to be all, we're going to be all love, but sometimes love is saying, I love myself enough to say, I'm not going to allow you to treat me in this way anymore. And respecting that and hearing that and understanding that when you do that, you are creating that for the other person too. Shoo. So Mimi is saying she's always been hard. Okay, that makes sense. Tina says, I'm hanging in there, LOL. And Tina saying, I feel you. Same here. So there are people who are having an especially hard time, or people that we've had a hard time with. So we have our soul families, right? We gather together to learn lessons from each other. And those people are the biggest pains in our fannies because they're here to push our boundaries, push our limits, invite us to change and not to cave. And, there are children, there are spouses, there are parents, and that's why we chose them. That's why we came together. And the ones who are super hard are the ones where that lesson is really, really close to being learned. And sometimes the lesson is in the, I'm not doing this with you anymore. I had to do that with my mother not that long ago, in the last 6 months for sure, where we would have this pattern of I would say no, and my mom would like push my button, and I would say no, and my mom would push my button until I caved in and gave her what she wanted. And people pleased and compromised. And I had to go into a space of, I'm not doing this with you. And often it meant I had to walk out of the room. And that was very uncomfortable. That was not working. But by me shifting my end of, I'm not doing this with you. Because the way we were interacting wasn't healthy. And I didn't know how to fix it, but I also knew I didn't have to participate. So by pulling the energy out, I was inviting change. And so now I don't have to leave the room. I can just say, I'm not doing this with you. And then she takes a deep breath and is like, we'll reevaluate how the conversation was going. And sometimes she can get to a place of, oh, I get it. This was, that was uncalled for, or that was out of line. And I can do that with her as well. So it's a place where you can grow from. Checking back in. So Renee's saying, woohoo, online energy medicine. Yes. And amazing empowerment retreats that are going to be available for anybody, whether they're in our school or not. And Renee's saying, thanks for expansion and lighting the way. You are so welcome. So here we are. And when people are talking about the ascension, everybody's got a different definition, let's put it that way, of what ascension means. Some people think it's a rising up. Some people think of it as an expansion that's going up and out. Some people are talking about going from the third dimension to the fourth or the fifth, as if they know what the third, the fourth, and fifth mean, or that everybody shares the same definition. So this is really a difficult conversation in terms of just what we are talking about. There's so much room for miscommunication that can happen. So to give you a little clarity, what I'm talking about in terms of ascension is that we each vibrate at a particular frequency. And if you think of a radio station, if our body or our soul is a radio, we've been playing on a particular station for a while, but we like more than one kind of music. So we want to be able to switch stations. We want to be able to listen to classical and jazz and rock and oldies. But if we're stuck in one frequency, then we've got one radio station and that's the only one we can listen to. And what happens? We hear the same songs over and over and over again, and we get bored and we get frustrated, and we need variety, we need diversity. And that happens when we go through ascension, we have the ability to hold multiple bandwidths and multiple frequencies all at the same time. And it's like the more you can hold, the fuller your life experience is, the fuller your soul energy and the fuller the fuller your life feels, right? Because there's so many more possibilities. There's so much less stress and worry because you're in this broader, fuller place. It doesn't mean that you don't experience things that are challenging, because again, we would get bored if we weren't challenged. That's what stress is for. Stress was just meant to help us push to the next level, to push to a fuller version of ourselves. But there are times when we create unnecessary stress because we know stress will help us grow. So it's almost like we create opportunities for growth by stressing ourselves out. And we don't need to create stress. Life will create plenty for us. So how do we get to this fuller place? Well, we expand our frequency. We expand our vibration. We move our energy into a place where we are holding more gratitude, more love, and more compassion for ourselves and for other people, and for all of the beings on the planet, and even for the planet itself. And there's sort of an inner knowing that we all have that we've been trying to get there because we want peace and serenity in our lives. And we work hard to create it. But in the working hard to create it, we often discreate it. We create obstacles rather than that expanded version, that ascension. And so we're not meant to go anywhere on our own. We're here on this planet with billions of people. We're meant to come together as a global community and raise each other up as we're raising ourselves up, because there's times when you're in a great place and you can be the one giving a helping hand. And there are times when you're just in a wonky place and there are other people around you who can give you a hand. That's the ascension. That's raising the vibration and the consciousness of the planet. And part of what is happening is that there are a lot of people who are bringing up old fear or old beliefs that just don't make sense for a lot of people. We're seeing a lot of hate energy that is coming out. And it's not like it hasn't been there. It's just now it's in the public eye in a new way. It's part of why in this global community and this connectedness that we have through our technology, that stuff isn't in hiding anymore. It's coming out of the shadow and it's having light shed on it so we can heal it and shift it and change it. It's not to point fingers and blame and shame. It's going to a place of, here are the wounds of humanity. And how do we start to heal the wounds of humanity? And we do it first by healing the wounds of ourselves, because we're part of humanity. And when we do that, we raise the vibration up. And when our vibration shifts, then the people around us feel the shift. They may feel discomfort within themselves at first, but that discomfort is inviting change. And it can change or not, but it's opening an invitation for shifting and changing. And so as we're going through all of this shifting and changing, and we still are interacting with other people, being in a place where we are doing our absolute best not to react to what someone else is saying or what someone else is doing, and taking that breath back. And in that breath back, we go, oh, okay, this is they have a wound that they're reacting to right now. And it's their wound that's talking to me, not the person. And keeping the wound separate from the person, or keeping the behavior or the belief separate from the person, that they have a limiting belief that you don't agree with. That's okay. But that doesn't make them less of a person. It means that they are in a wounded place, or you're in a wounded place, and you don't understand each other in the moment. That's how we start to heal. That's how we can learn how to manage our relationships as we're going through the ascension, knowing that just when somebody is difficult and hard and challenging us, we can somehow find gratitude for the change that they're inviting to happen within us. And, like I said, I had that incident where I had a miscommunication, and then they shared it, and then that person, was trying to defend them. It was surreal in the moment, because none of it seemed based on reality. And it's because it wasn't. It was based on old wounding. And the old wounding that was being projected then triggered my old wounding on the receiving end of it. And in that place, I had a choice in how to react. And I could feel the triggering, and I knew it was an opportunity for healing. And so that's where I went with it, and did a lot of work to help move it and clear it. And that's something that you can do as well. And I invite you to start to assemble your own team if you don't have it. Do you have a therapist? That you can talk through the belief systems or the mental things that are going on? Do you have a good doctor that you're going over the physical things with you? I have a really wonderful naturopath that I use, that when things are shifting, it sometimes happens in my physical body. And I have an energy healer that I work with. Actually, I have a few of them. And, I have, a couples therapist as well as a regular therapist. And they're part of my team. And maybe you have a massage therapist who just helps get the issues out of your tissues, right? But that's how we start to move. We care about ourselves, and then we have room and capacity to care for other people. So I know this was a lot, a lot of energy, a lot to think about. And I'm hoping that it's giving you some space to understand that just because we're going through something doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. We label things as bad and good all the time, and stuff that is shaking us to wake us up and help us move forward may not feel good in the moment. It can feel pretty cruddy. But it's that place of growth and opportunity that we can shift to and move to as we go forward. So I hope some of that makes sense. I'm going to do very rapid clearing because we only have a little bit of time. And I know that our conversation, one of the things that, you may know or may not realize is that when you listen to my broadcast, part of how it works is that my team uses the vibration of my voice to help shake your energy. And it shakes my energy too. So thank you for tuning in. And it allows us to gently move energy that's ready to heal. And because we've been shaking for the last almost 45 minutes, now I'm going to do the clearing so that we can let anything that was ready to shake loose from this conversation melt away and move forward in a calmer, fuller place than we were when we gathered together. So I love this. Woo! Bobby's saying, wow, this conversation was just perfect for getting refooted. Yes, it is. It's like creating a new foundation again, creating a new way to experience Yeah, the earth plane, the way it is right now, which is going through growing pains, and we're on her, right? So we're going through growing pains too, and so is every other being on the planet. So when we know that and we can witness that and not blame or shame anybody and just be like, oh, they're feeling it today. They're feeling it heavy today. Good for them. Thank you for clearing. Thank you for doing your own work. It's a different mentality. It's a different vibration than when we're in that panicky place of what's happening to me or what's happening and why is this off and why is it bad. So thank you, Bobby, for sharing that. So let's get some of the vibrational gunk off of us that wanted to clear. Because the focus on, as we do this work is we're moving towards self-mastery. We're moving to a place where we kind of get who we are. Maybe it gets revealed more and more each day, but then we can hold space for others as they're going through their mastery as well. All right. So let's just take a couple of deep breaths. Quiet the mind down a little bit because our thinking brain may be processing. And just remember, whatever resonated for you, great. You're going to remember what is important for you. And maybe there's just a nugget of information that you're going to share with someone else. And that's all perfect. It's all part of it. So we're going to more fully invite in the divine and our spiritual teams, taking a moment of gratitude for them gathering us here together in this moment, live or recorded. And in this place, inviting the energy that is trying to clear, that is wanting to dissipate, to come clearly to the surface in our energy field. And really opening our grounding connection to the earth plane. So you can imagine your cords of connection expanding, going deeper or more fully into the earth. Or maybe there's just this beautiful chute that you can let everything slide down deep into the earth where it can burn up in the molten lava center. And in that burning release, create space for more of you to shine through. And allowing the energy at the top of the head, just imagine it going down over you like a scan almost, going from your crown to your third eye, just checking any places where energy would like to release. Whether it's stuck thoughts, patterns, beliefs, it's cords of connection to other people, or things that connect to your core wounds, or the wounds of humanity. And making space as it moves down through the heart in the throat. Making room for you to breathe more fully. Releasing any panic or anxiety that has surfaced from the stress that's been going on around us and through us. And moving down through your body, cleansing your organs, allowing your lymphatic system to drain, releasing any toxins that you've carried for a long time, or even new ones that you picked up and you had no idea, but that don't serve your physical body in working in a beautiful, lovely, healthy manner. And even moving down your spine and through your second chakra. In any ways, this denser energy has stopped you from creating or manifesting your dreams into reality. Down through your root chakra and your legs, giving you room for more stability in this ever-changing energy. And the ability to surf the tides of change rather than feeling them wash over you or knock you off balance. And feeling them dissolve down your legs and through your feet and into the ground. Just noticing now the difference in your body, the difference in your emotions, your senses, your feelings. And all the ways that you can shine your light brighter, even if it's just for this one moment. And taking a moment of gratitude with our spiritual team coming in and gathering us together as a community this afternoon, this morning, to share some wisdom and some teachings and maybe some revelations so that we can feel connected, maybe not so alone. So I invite you to like and share the broadcast in case there's somebody who needs to hear this conversation, who couldn't join us in the moment. And also to invite you to give yourself a break. Cut yourself a break. We get to experience all parts of life. And sometimes it's challenging and sometimes it's easy. But it's still all very connected to who we are. And when we're open to shifting what doesn't work for us, we open that space for everyone else. So my team wanted me to share with you this card that I drew earlier today. Let me see if I can get it without the... that's kind of it. You're going to get the circle. All right, there we go. You can't read it. I know. Let me see if I can get closer. Yep, the glare just wants to be there. So this is the self-mastery card, and it connects to the flower of life. And that was what my team was showing me today that everybody's working on. We're working on how to master being a human being. And what we often get caught up in is we think we're a human doing, not a human being. So we define who we are by what we do and how we do it, rather than the essence of our being, as being the way we connect and interact with other people. It's kind of a fun thing. And so I want to share with you some other spiritual teachings and things that are going on here at Star Nations and through the weekend. So later today at 3:00, we have the spiritual roundtable every day, Sunday through Thursday, with the beautiful Neshi Lokatz. And she gives us the insight for the energy of the day. And generally, when we have this conversation, when she starts to talk about the cards that she pulled for the day, the alignment is always so interesting. The teachings, they interweave beautifully all the time. So I invite you to do that later today. And her show this evening, Soul Connections at 8:00. And I didn't get to see what the topic is for this evening, but I'm sure she'll share it with you. And tomorrow, she's here once again, obviously at 3 for a spiritual roundtable. And I have my show tomorrow evening at 7, which is Soul Connections, where I do pull a card for every single person, and we do a healing meditation to clear and grow. And at 4:00 tomorrow as well, sorry, these aren't in order, there is the Nature Adventures show. They're going to do the restorative practices. They're doing a replay of that great show. And the restorative practices are so key, because that is kind of what we're talking about, everything being shook up. And now how do you restore yourself to a place of fullness and balance? So all of these are working together to kind of bring us together. And thank you for, it's all of the listings are here in the live comments of all the shows that are up this week. And thank you for sharing that, guys, because it's always difficult for me to remember. And if you are in New England this Saturday and Sunday, me and my team will be up in Augusta, Maine at the New England Metaphysical and Holistic Festival. We'll be offering free healings for anybody who comes. And I will be teaching a workshop on Sunday at 10:30 in the morning, all about mystical healing energy, and how we can tap into that to change our lives and the lives of other people. And if you would like free tickets, I have a bunch and I'm willing to share. So with that, you guys, I hope to see you either tomorrow night on Soul Connections or next week on Chakra Sessions. And with that, have a beautiful, blessed day, and share your light. We need it. Mwah. Bye.